Louisville Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
You think you like football? Jim Mora doesn't just like football, he loves football.
Fired up. Let's go.
What are you fired up about?
Life, football, the media, the fans, the world, everything. You name it.
You're not down on anything at all?
Nothing.
Not a single thing?
No.
How'd practice go?
Outstanding. One of the best practices we've had in my 10-year history here. That's why I chewed their out for 10 minutes afterwards.
That's
Football!
He was so good.
That's an all-timer.
Oh, he was so
Jim
good.
Mora, man. Jim Mora's playoffs guy, right? Playoffs?
Yeah.
Playoffs?
Oh, yeah, he was a
Playoffs?
quote machine.
Love me some Jim Mora.
Colts and Saints, right? And I
Yeah.
think he started in the USFL. I believe he was very successful in the USFL and then transitioned.
Yeah. Well, speaking of very successful, this is Purple Daily. Just wildly successful here in these off-season months at finding ways to entertain you Vikings fans on a daily basis. Presented by TCL. Enjoy more of what you love with TCL. A little bit later on in the show, you're going to hear a little battle between ESPN talking heads who have differing opinions on the Minnesota Vikings. But every Monday, we like to bring a pecking order to the table whenever possible here, where we just rank something that we think is noteworthy and important to rank. We love to rank things. We love to dissect other people's rankings on this show. And so Judd Zolgad, if I'm not mistaken, has 5 Vikings players who must step up or get out in 2021. Is that a fair way to depict this pecking order, sir?
Yes, exactly right. Now I will
it's gonna
go.
Be Rick Spielman's evil laugh when you underperform.
Now I will go from 5 to 1, but let me warn you here. I'm not going to give you a plethora of names of, well, of course that guy, the fourth wide receiver has to play well, or he's out.
Gone. His ass is gone.
Or if the kicker is bad, he's going to be gone. Well, of course he's going to be gone. All right, so
Chris
I'm going to give you
Boyd.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to give you 5 real names of guys making big dough who, if they don't succeed, will be voted off Viking Island.
Sounds like a good Netflix show.
Yeah.
And I will start with cornerback veteran Patrick Peterson. Now, here's why. He is signed to a 1-year, $8 million contract. And the question coming off what was a questionable 2020 season for Pat P, as he's known, is he cooked, or if he gets a fresh start elsewhere, is it going to help him? We're going to find out. So Patrick Peterson is my 5th one because he's the type of guy that the Vikings have signed now for a short-term boost. He wasn't great, and you know what? He might be cooked. He might be fried. We don't know. We'll find out. But if he does not have a good season, he will be fired by the Vikings.
Yeah, my gut says he's going to bounce back. I don't think he's ever going to be the player that he was. Like, when you're 25, you're at your peak athletic ability, your peak speed, and so he's not going to have that. But I think with all the great players that he's going to play with, he's got a lot of help over the top in Harrison Smith, Xavier Woods. He should have some reliable players at every level of the defense that can take pressure off. And so I just don't think he's going to be asked to do as much as maybe he was in Arizona. And so I think Mike Zimmer is going to find a way to scheme multiple years out of Patrick Peterson as a Viking. I really do. Now, it's going to cost you, and so some of it's going to come down to, all right, if it's going to cost $8 to $10 million to pay for an aging Patrick Peterson, maybe the Vikings say no. But I legitimately think this is going to be a nice rejuvenation season for Patrick Peterson.
Number 4 on my list, linebacker Anthony Barr. So he took a pay cut and came back. His pay went down from what was supposed to be $12.9 million in 2021 to $10 million. But in doing so, he also is now entering the last year of his contract. They voided off 2 years of his contract. So he's going to be, or he's set to become a free agent after 2021. And you might be saying, well, if he plays well, he's going to leave and get a big payday elsewhere. Keep in mind, this guy's had multiple chances to leave, and he never leaves. Like, he's the guest that won't leave. It's like, Anthony, we're going to be cleaning up here. It's been really fun. Oh, man, that's fine. I'll hang on the couch. Why don't you, you know what? Here's something for the road. Here's a doggy bag of food. Oh, no, man, I'm fine. I'm staying. So Anthony Barr likes to stay. But if Anthony Barr does not play up to expectation in 2021, he will be shown the door, and I think this time he'll officially be gone. So I actually believe that this is more of a Vikings thing than a Barr thing, because I think if Barr plays well, he's going to be like, okay, I can come back, right? Just like, get off my couch, okay? So Anthony Barr is my fourth one on this list, because if he doesn't have a really good year bouncing back from playing in 2 games last year, 3 games tops before he got hurt, Anthony Barr will be fired.
Barr is such a weird case because Pro Football Focus doesn't really love him. You know, some of the traditional metric, like he doesn't really get sacks, right? Not that he's got a hand in the dirt and they don't give him a ton of opportunities to rush the passer, but the things that you would think a guy like Anthony Barr would, like whether it's PFF grade or whatnot, he doesn't really show up, but he's a multi-time Pro Bowler. Mike Zimmer loves him, and smart football people who break down film will say his presence and the threat of what he can do is something that opposing teams have to scheme for. And so I don't know. This is definitely a telling year with the money that he's going to want to make going into free agency as well. You've already got Eric Kendricks under contract. So I don't know. Sometimes he just sort of disappears for like 3 weeks at a time. You're like, I don't know. I haven't heard Has Anthony Barr been playing? I haven't heard his name been called, since week 5 or whatever it is. But Mike Zimmer seems to love him, and some of this comes down to Mike Zimmer's the head coach. Mike Zimmer specializes in defense, and if he feels like he needs Anthony Barr in his lineup to be fully comfortable with what he's trying to do and scheme defensively, and it frees up other players to do their jobs, then I guess we just have to put a little faith in Mike Zimmer and his judgment.
But if the Vikings and Zim don't succeed, Zim and Barr might be shown the door together as well. Wow. Because I think if Zimmer doesn't come back, Anthony Barr ain't coming back. No questions asked.
That's probably true. I'm gonna jump in and say that the third guy on Judd's pecking order is powered by our new partner here on Purple Daily. That's right. A round of applause for the legitimately most comfortable underwear any of us have ever worn. Chill Boys and chillboys.com. How do Chill Boys make you feel? You guys have been wearing Chill Boys for a couple of weeks now behind the scenes. How do they make you feel?
I played 18 yesterday, and I can't play. There's one thing with my golf game. There's numerous things in my golf game I have to fix. One of them is not my undercarriage. So Chill Boys is superior to that. That will help me break 100. I can tell you right now. Nothing down there. Love me some Chill Boys.
51 years on this planet, and I will say this about our friends from Chill Boys, life-changing.
Dude,
like
100%.
Like there are certain things as a man that you spend your life looking for. The right gal, right? Hard to find. You find the right gal. But one of the most important things, and I'm not kidding, underwear. And I can't tell you how long I've struggled to find underwear that, let's just say, keep you cool. Mm-hmm. And almost feels like a thinner basketball short, so it's so comfortable. Like there's not the clutching and grabbing that goes on. That doesn't exist with Chill Boys.
Certainly no hand checking. Certainly
no
hand
checks. No hand checks.
No. Let me tell you, all right, audience out there, trust us. Whenever we don't just talk about anything on this show, okay? But trust us when we say, if you're looking for the soft, feathery touch of bamboo fabric, you haven't lived until you felt it. Chillboys.com. They're going to be part of this show, and we thank them for keeping us powered here and the lights on as well. All right, who is the third guy on your pecking order here?
Okay, my third guy.
Shape up or get out.
My third guy is actually a guy that we need to be talking about more. And I feel like one thing that our shows do is they bring things to light that people aren't thinking about until we sort of lift the cover of darkness off them. And then it's like, oh, that's a good topic. And it gets hot around town, right? My third guy is very much that guy because he's a guy that as 2021 starts, there needs to be a focus on big time. That is the 18th pick in the 2019 draft, one Garrett Bradberry. Mm-hmm. Okay, and here's why. The decision on Bradberry's fifth-year option, which will be for 2023, needs to be made next June. Garrett Bradberry so far, let me make this very clear, for a first-round pick, has been a bust. For a first-round pick, his pass protection skills have not improved enough. He can run block, but I can't have a first-round pick being good at half his job. He needs to be good at the whole job. So I actually think that if Garrett Bradbury disappoints you again in 2021, there is almost certainly an immediate decision to be made about his future, because I don't know how many times you can keep going back to that well and being like, he'll improve for next year. He'll improve for next year. Yeah. This is a huge year. I honestly think that if Garrett Bradbury has another disappointing year, this could be it for him, and that's a major problem.
I think he's a great example, too, of just like sort of where the Vikings' philosophy lies when it comes to scouting offensive linemen and drafting offensive linemen. So there might not be, in terms of Pro Football Focus grade as a pass blocker and a run blocker, I don't think there's a player, and I'm just looking at centers here, I don't think there's a player with a wider discrepancy between how bad they are as a pass blocker and how great they are as a run blocker. So 38 centers in the NFL last year played at least 20% of their team snaps. Garrett Bradbury was second to last in Pro Football Focus pass blocking grade. So it's like a real life human Madden grade from 1 to 100, right? And so the best guys are going to be up in the 80s and flirting with 90 and sometimes over 90. And anything below like 60, below 55, it's pretty bad in any area of your game, right? He was a 38 grade out of 100 in pass protection last year, but he was just under 70 as a run blocker. So he was one of the better run blocking centers, like at least top half in the NFL. So, but that's what they wanted, right? They wanted someone, when they drafted him, he was nimble, he was light, and he was able to get out in space and get to the edge in the second level and help clear some space for Dalvin Cook. And he's been pretty good at that. But he gets forklifted off the line of scrimmage multiple times per game because he's not good enough. And when you have a non-mobile quarterback, what is the quickest path to a non-mobile quarterback? Right through the center, right? So absolutely. I don't know what it takes, if he needs to bulk up more or if he just needs to be quicker about getting his base set when he snaps the football. But he is one of the worst pass-blocking offensive linemen in the NFL going into year 3. It's a fact.
I guess if the guard play improves substantially, that could help as well. Mm-hmm. But the problem is this. I think the Bradbury pick underestimated how good the defensive tackles have become as far as getting quarterback pressures, right? Like, because it used to be if you just held your ground against them, a lot of them weren't great at going and trying to get through to a guy like Kirk Cousins. Well, that's not the case now. Yeah. And I don't know that Garrett Bradbury can do a lot with his body to become Jeff Christie. So anyway, that's one that's going to become extremely important because it's another first-round pick that we might be talking about as far as being a bust. All right, number 2 on my list. I actually have him 2, not 1, although I'm sure you're all expecting him to be 1. Kirk Cousins, and here's why.
I think a lot of people would expect him to not be on your list.
Well, yeah. He has to be, though, because 1, you've removed all of the excuses, as we've been talking about now for months. All the excuses for why Kirk can't cook are gone. Like, if everyone is healthy and playing, Kirk Cousins is in a position to be sitting on a huge year. And I'm not talking about 12 games. I'm not talking about 10 games. I'm talking about 17 games. Let's say he has 2 mediocre games, but that still means 15 outstanding games. He is sitting on a huge year. The other part about this, and the thing that we can't dismiss, is there is no way the Vikings can absorb, in my opinion, a $45 million cap hit in 2022. That's what Kirk is going to cost against the cap. Now, I know that the cap is going to go up, so there is a little bit more wiggle room there. But my point being is, if he doesn't have a good year, and he has to have an outstanding year, I think that there's going to be some plan to make a change there. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, bravo to Kirk and his agent for just being genius negotiators and setting up these ridiculous checkpoints. Like, there's no way that he plays on a $45 million cap hit next year, even if the cap goes up. So, like you're saying, I mean, you're either, based on what he does this season, you're either going to say, awesome, let's make this more reasonable, but let's extend you into 2022-23.
Yep.
I still think there's a better chance they trade him. I don't think there's any other thing. Like, they would either extend him or trade him. I don't think they would cut him. And I don't think they would just play the last season on a $45 million hit unless you were rebuilding. Mm-hmm. So, I think there's a better chance they trade him. But if he plays really well and they win a couple playoff games, then you almost have no choice, right? I mean, look at the Chiefs made the hard choice with Alex Smith. They said, all right, if Super Bowl is our goal, even if we are 12 wins or whatever in the regular season, we just need somebody more dynamic back here. So yeah, I have no problem with Kirk being on your list here. This is a big time fork in the road season for his career and where he might play.
And it's imperative he gets off to a good start. Like, no more 4 games I didn't play well, but now you're going to see Kirk. No, you need to play well from opening day on. All right, number 1 on my list, Danielle Hunter.
Yep.
And it's all contractual. So he is owed an $18 million roster bonus on the 5th day of what's going to be the new league year next March, okay? Now, that can be renegotiated. It can be spread out. So there would be a lot of options if you're going to keep him to restructure his contract again. But my point is he's coming off a neck problem. And let's say he doesn't play well. Let's say he has 3 sacks. It's a decision to make there, because are you going to pay him like a star if the neck problem proves he's not now and there's some question going forward about his future? So Danielle Hunter, largely because of his contract, becomes the top guy, because if he comes back and has 14 sacks, guess what? He's getting paid. He's staying. Everything's good. But if he's not the same player, I could see a scenario where he's flat out just cut. I really could. Unfortunate.
Is there a chance that Danielle and his agent actually screwed themselves here?
Oh, I think it's a terrible yes. And I know he got more next March, but if I'm not mistaken, they moved the money around and got no new money. So like this whole thing of I want a new contract, he didn't get one. He got it moved around. But he left himself incredibly susceptible if he doesn't come back and play damn well to basically the Vikings saying, it's been fun, thanks a lot. Now you're off our books entirely.
Yeah.
And
By
they
the
never
way,
pay that bonus.
We forgot to take the Danielle Hunter controversy from Write That Down 2 weeks ago to Write That Down Court.
Oh, that's right.
But I did go through comments on all social media platforms. It's very much a 50-50 split. People saying, because who was it? It was me and Declan?
Yep.
Said that he would get a new contract. A new contract.
And I said it wasn't a new contract. It was a restructured contract from his old contract.
What do you mean from his old contract?
They took his old contract and reworked money, but he never got a new contract. A new contract's an extension.
But how is it an old contract?
We didn't say extension. We said a new contract.
Right, but it's not a new contract. A new contract
But you just said it was an old contract.
You said it was an old contract.
A new contract.
But
it's a restructured. A restructure is not new. You had to say restructured.
But you said it was an old contract. If it's an old contract, now it's a new contract.
It's his previous contract. No, it's the same contract.
It's a different contract.
The old contract stayed.
We need Dick Wolf.
The old contract.
Law and Order here.
The old
wait,
we need Law and Order Supreme Court. I want to run this up to the justices.
Wait. But if it's a previous contract, then this would be a what?
But they didn't give him the new contract. They kept the previous contract and restructured it. Yep, that's right. It's the previous contract that's been restructured, but it's not new. New would be new money.
Previous
he got no
and
new money.
old, but if it's previous and old, okay. If I said to you, hey, but you, okay, so your previous car, now you have a different car. It's a different car, a new car.
But I wouldn't. But Danielle got his car washed.
No,
that's what happened.
I would say he got his car washed. I would say he got part of the engine
and that's
replaced.
not a metaphor for anything, by the way. Danielle simply got his
when you put on a pair of Chill Boys, it feels like you're getting your car washed.
A new car wash.
If you know what I'm saying.
They're so comfortable. I love them. That's fine. Take your point.
That's Judd's pecking order.
Take your stupid point.
5 Vikings players that need to produce in 2021 or they're gone. We're putting some pressure on this year, States. No more excuses. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna keep doing these daily Viking shows with the mission statement of win a Super Bowl before we die, and if that happens, we will gladly come on the next day and brainstorm a new mission statement. But we should put some pressure.
Cool, come on drinking.
So Declan has 2 clips here. It's always kind of fun to hear what national perspective, like what are the talking heads saying about the Vikings? Is it credible? Are they paying any attention to what's going on? So let's should we play Marcus Spears first and then Rob Ninkovich second, Dex? How do you want to do this?
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Okay.
When you look at Minnesota, this one is really intriguing to me because we've been talking about the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers situation. We talked about the Chicago Bears and the quarterback situation and whether Justin Fields will start or not. But if you look at Minnesota, and you think about how quiet it has been, if you think about Danielle Hunter coming back off of an injury, if you think about re-signing Sheldon Rankins, if you think about improving this defense that Zimmer wanted to, and he made it plain and simple in offseason.
So he's very high. Marcus Spears is basically saying no one's under the radar, adding pieces to the puzzle, and everyone's talking about other teams in the division. Let's hear now from Rob Ninkovich.
The Minnesota Vikings better be praying that Aaron Rodgers does not get back on the roster for the Green Bay Packers, because if he does, there's no chance for the Vikings to win the division. So I get it. Kirk Cousins, you like that. You like that. I don't like that the Vikings are on that list. I have no issues with any of the other teams. I agree with the Patriots. I agree that the Colts have a chance. I agree that Tennessee has a shot. I don't think that the Vikings have a shot.
All right, to me, it's very obvious that Marcus Spears has just the more accurate opinion here. I don't know how you can look at the Vikings after everything they've added. You can be skeptical for sure, and skeptical of Kirk, and skeptical of Zimmer too. But I don't know how you can look at the Vikings and be like, no chance to compete in the NFC North if Aaron Rodgers comes back. I mean, the Vikings are 500 against the Packers in Mike Zimmer's career as head coach. So they compete against Aaron Rodgers even when he's at his best and when he's healthy and when he wants to play for the Packers. So what are your thoughts on those two opposing viewpoints?
Yeah, I think Rob's a little bit too over the top in his feelings about the Vikings right now, and I don't think he's probably taken into account how much they've actually done, especially defensively, to improve. If Aaron Rodgers comes back, and that's a big if, we do not know that, but if he does come back, I would agree that the Packers are probably the favorite to win the division. But do I think it's absolutely 1,000% clear cut and I'm dismissing the Vikings? No. So, yeah, I think Marcus Spears comes closer. He might be a little bit too far the other way, but this division, I can't say that there's a clear cut, it's the Packers for sure. We don't know that. And if Rodgers does not come back, the reality is the Vikings need to be and should be the favorite to win the division. I think it's pretty simple, actually.
Yeah, where are you at, Dex? Who's more on the money here?
I think Spears is, and keep in mind he's saying sleeper. He's saying a sleeper pick. He's not saying a favorite pick. And if he came out and said they're a favorite, yes, I think everyone can agree we deserve to be ripped for that. If someone said that the Vikings are a favorite to win the Super Bowl in 2021, but he's mentioning a sleeper pick. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sleeping giants basically on the team. Danielle Hunter is now coming back. I think your defense is better. I just still do not believe until I see it that they're going to be a top 10 unit again, but I do think it's drastically improved from where it was a year ago. Yeah, they're a sleeper, and they should be the favorites if indeed Aaron Rodgers, which he is not, going to be playing for the Packers.
I mean, isn't it fair to say that it's fair to say two things, I think. Number one, there's a wide range of outcomes for the Vikings because Pat Peterson, if he plays the way that he has in Arizona, he might be a disaster, right? If Danielle Hunter isn't healthy and they don't have pressure on the other side, that maybe they have a bad pass rush again. Like there's a low. I don't think they're ever going to be like a 3 or 4 win team, but there's definitely like miss the playoffs scenarios if they don't get the defense shaped up the way that it needs to be. If Christian Darrisaw struggles as a rookie at left tackle, like you can see a path to might not be their season to make the playoffs. But if everything clicks, if the secondary is back and if Danielle Hunter is back the way that he's been playing, and if they stay healthy close to the way they did in 2017, and if the two rookies, if Wyatt Davis and Christian Darrisaw make that offensive line better, and Justin Jefferson has a year of offseason workouts to get better, right? Like if everything clicks, then this is absolutely a sleeper team to flirt with a Super Bowl. But how often does everything click, right? That's the thing. Like for any team, not just the Vikings, you have to get so many things to go right on defense. So I guess I side more with Marcus Spears because, yeah, if everything goes the way that the Vikings expect it and want it to go, then this team is pretty loaded up and down. And now it just comes down to Mike Zimmer in big games, Kirk Cousins in big games, and how well can those rookie offensive linemen hold up against great pass rushes.
Write this down. If the Vikings are not a top 10 scoring defense in 2021, Zimmer will not be back next season.
Write this down.
So parlay.
So
those are two things.
It's an if then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but it's if they are like 15th to 20th, he won't be back. Like he stayed.
This is on the record, by the way. Dak.
This is on the record?
I think
for,
we should
for
log this.
Wednesday.
Can you
for
log
Wednesday.
This?
Sure.
But I'm just the one thing he's banking on is that these personnel decisions that they've made to bring in a slew of guys, which is great, that's fine, is going to work. If it doesn't work, like I could see him trying to divorce himself from offensive problems. Like if Kirk struggles, he's going to be like, I never really wanted Kirk. You know that. But if the defense struggles or does not get back to what we're used to from Mike's defenses, he won't be back.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Okay, I can see where you're going with that. Hey, let's play one more clip here before we say goodbye for the day too. So Patrick Peterson has his own podcast, and he's had Kirk Cousins on. He talks about his early experience with Vikings minicamp and OTAs, and it's kind of him laying the groundwork for a post-playing career in media. And he had some interesting things to say about players, not only in the NFL, but this applies to players in his own locker room that have yet to get the vaccine.
So why go through why put yourself at risk of going through that again? You know what I mean? Everybody have their different views on the COVID, right? On the shot. No matter which brand it is, everybody have their different views. But at the end of the day, if we all in this and trying to win a championship, and if it's a very small percentage of, those shots affecting people, why not put yourself in the best position possible to win a championship?
He went on to say, if you're not vaccinated, you're just living in a different world. How do you think that lands with the guys who are on the record, Harrison Smith, Adam Thielen, and pretty much Kirk Cousins, who declined to talk about it, but then said, I'm just taking it day by day. He basically said, I'm just trying to see.
And more, too, it sounds like.
Yeah. How does that land in the locker room?
Hopefully, from a football standpoint only, the message from a veteran player who's clearly a pretty smart guy in Patrick Peterson gets through, and before training camp starts, even if they don't believe it's what's best for them as humans, they get vaccinated because it's going to be what's best for the team. And there's no question that can't be debated. Look at what the league is doing. The league is basically saying, if you are not vaccinated, your life's going to suck. And I will go back to my guess is in his own personal life, Zimmer might not have gotten the shot, right? But because he's a coach, he has to. And he basically said it's going to make everybody's life easier. So I want to remove all political and religious agendas from this discussion and say what Patrick Peterson said hopefully gets through to these guys, because as players, there's no debate. As people, there might be. As players, there's not.
Yeah, and of course,
so it could cause problems.
Of course, this is the type of thing where you can't separate the human element from it and the religious element from it. They're just like everything's all intertwined.
But you're making millions of dollars, Phil.
I get it. I'm just saying, I got the vaccine and I advocate for getting the vaccine, but if people are putting the next 50 years of their life, how they perceive it, ahead of something professional in the short term, that's the way a lot of players, the players are going to side with that element more than they're going to side with how much money they make for the team. I think, there's no way to really prove this right now, but the Minnesota Twins got off to a terrible start. And they have at least one in Andrelton Simmons, very public anti-vaxxer in their clubhouse. He got infected with COVID, spread it to the rest of the team, and they had a bunch of key players out early in the season. And that and for other reasons, they derailed. They're still 10 games under 500, 3 months into the season, trying to figure this thing out. The team lacks energy. There's just something clearly off with the Minnesota Twins this year. And there's probably 5 or 6 different reasons, but I think getting off to that type of a start behind the scenes when, hey, a bunch of us on the road, we'd love to go out to eat, we'd love to venture out, maybe see some friends in different cities, and we can't because the team hasn't reached a certain level of vax rate, right? In the case of an NFL locker room, hey, we all want to be in the same meetings, we all want to eat lunch together. We can't if we're vaccinated and you're not, and vice versa. And so what I would worry about is that you've got Patrick Petersons and Eric Kendrickses and other players that are like, guys, go get vaccinated. What the hell are you doing? And then whether it's Harrison Smith, Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins saying, well, listen, I don't believe in getting vaccinated, et cetera, and it causes a non-football rift in the locker room. That's the last thing this team needs going into 2021. But I get that people are viewing this through some complicated lenses too. So It's hopefully something that doesn't derail what could be a good season for the Vikings. But I worry now that Patrick Peterson, and I agree with everything he's saying personally, but obviously other people and coworkers of his do not.
It will happen for, my guess, multiple teams. Like there's going to be problems somewhere. Somebody's going to spread it, and then it's going to cause problems, and a guy's going to miss a week, if not 2 weeks. So the only question is which teams. But yeah, this is, to me, from a football standpoint, if you want to attempt to win a Super Bowl, you know what? Unfortunately, I think you have to put your beliefs aside and say, what's going to allow me to play? And look, I mean, that's how teams think too. Do you think football teams, I mean, football's a brutal sport. Do you think they really go around caring about players? I mean, they cut a player. Once you're done, they cut you like you're yesterday's news. So it'll be very, when Zimmer's basically encouraging guys to get the vaccine, to me, it's a very interesting, intriguing thing because he's doing it for football purposes.
There's
Patrick
also
Peterson's not wrong.
There's a layer of irony if you're a hard-nosed safety or a receiver that's willing to take a hit over the middle, right? And football's not as brutal as it was maybe 10 years ago, 20, certainly 30, 40 years ago because the rule changes. But, you're getting laid out multiple times a year. You're getting your bell rung, and you run the risk of CTE, and you willingly take that risk every day you step onto a football practice field or a game day on Sunday. And so there is a layer of irony in like looking out for your long-term future, playing a sport that like cuts off your long-term future and quality of life, So it's tough, and we'll see how this works. The fact that Mike Zimmer and Patrick Peterson are both very vocal about this makes it really, really interesting and potentially awkward, though.
Can you imagine week 8 and like Cousins can't play? And then I come back to this. At that point in time, guess what? A lot of the anti-vaxxers and the vaccine advocates are going to come together because they're Vikings fans. And they're going to say, what the hell, he can't play? And I'm sure there's going to be a faction that will say, well, good for him, he didn't get the shot. But how many Vikings fans are truly going to say, yeah, way to go, Kirk? And when Jake Browning has to start. Yeah, Kirk, you showed them.
I'm actually kind of curious to see what Jake Browning looks like at some point. But preseason seems like a better forum.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't want to see it in week 8, Phil. Anyway, it'll be interesting.
So, you like that? All right. You like that? Judd will be launching his new Purple Daily spinoff called Purple Vaxxer starting tomorrow. 3 days a week, actually. It'll be Tuesdays, Thursdays, and
I'm going to talk
Saturdays,
to
taking
non-vaxxed players. I'm going to talk to Adam Thielen. What's going on, my man?
So thanks for hanging out with us. Federated is also here on a daily basis with us, and a lot of people ask like, what's the best way we can support you guys on Purple Daily and Score North? Clicking the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and giving us 5-star ratings and positive reviews on Apple are 2 great ways, and just helping us by consuming the products that our sponsors are putting out. And so if you're a business owner, for instance, and you're looking for risk management tools and you're looking for resources that can give you a little bit more peace of mind when you put your head on the pillow at night, Federated's been doing this and helping Minnesota business owners for over 100 years. They're one of us, based in Owatonna, and you can find out more about their company and the resources they provide at federatedinsurance.com. Remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. All right, boys. Good stuff today. Really enjoying these chill boys.
Good
my
stuff.
God.
Oh, my chill boys are...
Oh, balls. Yeah, they're great. They're good.
Life-changing. 51 years, life-changing.
You think you like football? Brett Favre doesn't just like football. He loves football.
All right, here we go. They're going to jump right here. They're going to jump. Everybody hold your water. Green right slot. 98 handoff slot on 3. Ready? Balls. Balls. Green 18. Green 18. Hit.